Okay, so can we see Europe? Wonderful.
Yes.
I've got this crazy 3-screen setup here. So if you see me craning my neck all over in different directions, that's why. So thank you so much for coming along to this short presentation aimed at helping you to plan your next trip abroad. Assuming the vaccine has a positive effect and assuming the UK government doesn't willfully remove more of our rights and freedoms, it's looking like we can at least start to think about where we might want to visit once all this is over. In this presentation, I have 6 destinations for you to consider, each offering something a little bit different from one another. What they have in common, though, is that they are all less explored destinations. So for a few years now, myself and Jade, who's my wife and my travel buddy, have been actively seeking to visit places that are less well known and therefore don't receive as much tourism traffic as perhaps they should. This was born out of frustration during some of our previous trips to big name destinations that we had to share our experience with crowds of other tourists, each taking the same photos and each jumping from one tourist attraction to the next. What we were after was something a bit more authentic, a bit more local feeling, and something that meant we weren't contributing to over-tourism, which is a phrase that more and more of us are becoming aware of. It's been really tricky narrowing down the list to just 6 destinations. Some of you may well have visited some of these or have at least heard of them. And that's probably because all of the destinations featured in this presentation are really easy for us to get to. Again, assuming that our passports aren't restricted any further. Okay, so let's fly to our first destination. The country we're visiting first is Poland. And in particular, we are going to be flying in to the city of Poznan. So Poznan is packed with great things to see and do. The city is steeped in history, yet enjoys a youthful and laid-back vibe with flourishes of modern architecture and public artwork. For tourists, the city offers a great deal and manages to do so without ripping anyone off. Yet Poznan is still relatively unheard of in the travel world. You can get there via airplane from Luton, Stansted and Heathrow, and it's an ideal city break for individuals, couples and families. Okay, so let's fly in to see a couple of the attractions in Poznan. Always a good place to start when you visit a place is the main square in the city, and Poznan is no exception to that rule. This is the old market square. Oh, tea, thank you. Thanks. Oh, it's coffee, actually. So yes, this is the old market square. It's quite an unusual square in that there is some buildings located in the center of it. The white building here is the town hall. Also in the center there are a couple of museums which are worth looking at, and some shops. And lining the square around the edge are a number of cafes and restaurants and some boutique shops. Those cafes and restaurants are all a bit different from one another. So you will find something that suits your tastes. We quite liked the Mexican themed bar. So we were drinking cocktails out of glass skulls and eating kind of tacos and that kind of thing. It was really cool, really laid back, and a great place to spend the evening. I'll just zooming over here, if I can remember how to. Oh, there we go. This building right here is the Royal Palace. A lot of it has been reconstructed. In fact, a lot of Poznan has been reconstructed. A great deal of the city was destroyed in the Second World War, but they have put in a great deal of effort in reconstructing a lot of the buildings to their former glory. The Royal Castle here is a great place to go and get a really great view of the city. Let's take a quick look at some of the photos. So here we are at street level in the town hall. There's my wife Jay taking in the scenery. There's lots of great fountains in the square. As you can see, really chilled out and not at all busy. Okay, let's fly to our next attraction, Poznan Cathedral. It's one of the oldest churches in Poland and the oldest Polish cathedral dating back from the 10th century. That said, much of the cathedral was destroyed in the Second World War and was restored shortly afterwards. That would kind of explain why this is quite a rarity in that this cathedral was built with brick. though there are lots of original architectural features, including the tops of the towers here. But I think it's a really quite attractive cathedral, particularly from the rear. I think it's got some quite interesting architectural features. Just over here, across the bridge here, is a museum, which is a modern museum, really interactive, and it tells you the story of the cathedral and Poznan in general, and it's well worth visiting. Really good fun. And that comes from someone who doesn't particularly enjoy museums. I wouldn't call myself a museum-y person, but actually, as we go through this presentation, you'll wonder why I said that, because I cover quite a lot of museums in this presentation. Okay, our next destination is the parish church. And as you can see, it's quite a underrated, I don't know how to put it really, but it's a grand building for a parish church. It's a Roman Catholic basilica located right in the heart of the old town, and it's one of the city's most recognizable features. And I really like this view from street level, a really narrow street, cobble street, but a really imposing building right at the end of it. Quite interesting. And inside, it's just beautiful inside. This organ in particular is really quite wonderful. Okay, moving swiftly on, let's fly out of the old town and to the shore of Lake Malta. So if you've got some kids with you, or you nurture your inner child, then you'll love the miniature railway. It's actually quite a useful miniature railway. And by miniature, it's not all that miniature really. You can quite easily stand up inside the carriages. But the train itself does take you to some very useful destinations. It runs along the north shore of the lake, and the first stop is the thermal baths. These thermal baths actually contain 4 zones. There's an aqua park with slides and wave machines and lazy rivers. There's also an Olympic-sized swimming pool if you take your swimming seriously. There's an outdoor area, and there's also the world of spas. So if you're interested in going for a relaxing sauna or go to a steam room, you'll love the world of spas. You do need to be okay with being naked, because it's law in Poland. If you're going in a sauna, you have to be completely naked, and they will tell you off if you don't go in naked. So yeah, you do need to be. If you do go, buy a sauna ticket, because that gives you access to the aqua park and the Olympic-sized swimming pool. The last stop on our train journey is the zoo. It's a very small zoo, but it's really cool. And if you're interested in animals, it's a great place to go. Okie dokie, let me just check my list. Okay, so let's fly off to our next country. I said it was going to be whistle stop. We're going to fly out of Poland, and we're heading for Denmark. And we're going to completely ignore Copenhagen, because that's where everyone goes. And we're going to go to Denmark's second largest city, Aarhus. Aarhus enjoys a youthful, progressive and laid-back vibe. The city centre is compact and easily walkable, and is notable for its eclectic mix of architectural styles. In 2017, Aarhus was European Capital of Culture, and it's quite easy to see why. The Mossgaard Museum and the Aros Art Museum are both relatively new and world-class. Similarly to Copenhagen, the food scene in Aarhus is on fire, with lots of opportunity to sample contemporary Danish cuisine and food from all over the world with a Danish twist. You can get there from Stansted and Heathrow, and it's a great city break destination, suitable for all. We went on a weekend, Friday to Monday. It was perfect, spot on. Let's check out some of Aarhus's attractions. We're going to fly into this lovely green space right in the city centre. And this is the university's botanical gardens. There aren't many freebies in Denmark. It's quite an expensive place, but freebies can be found, and this is one of them. It is completely free to enter. There's lots of lovely landscape gardens to explore. There are also, though, some greenhouses. I love a greenhouse, particularly a palm house. So this is the cactus house, and you can then go into the tropical zone where they have this great viewing platform. There are live butterflies fluttering around in this glass house. It's a wonderful experience. And as I said, it's completely free to visit. Our next attraction is actually not too far away. It's actually just over here. This is brilliant. This is Den Gammelby, a truly remarkable and unique outdoor museum of Danish urban history and culture. Connected by a network of pathways and roads, visitors can explore over 75 historic houses, each dismantled and relocated from their original locations all over Denmark and rebuilt here. The buildings are grouped into different eras, starting with life in the late 1800s through to the 1930s and ending in the 1970s. The cool thing about this is that all the doors are open and all the buildings are kitted out. So you can just wander in and explore as you wish. Inside, many of the buildings are actors pretending that they are in that era, and you can interact with them. Let's take a quick look at what it looks like on street level. It is just fabulous. Really one of the best museums we've been to. If you want to explore by horse and cart, you're welcome to. Here are some of the actors that we encountered. They invited us in. They gave us a cup of tea and gave us some cake. And they stayed in character for about 2 minutes before they started asking us questions about what the heck is going on in the UK in the last couple of years. And we had a really good conversation. So this is, we're zoomed in here on the sort of 1800s area. Right over here is the area that focuses on the 1970s. And this was probably the most enjoyable part for me because obviously it was more recent and a little bit more relatable. So you can pop into the supermarkets, you can have a little look around. There's an actual functioning cafe that you can go into. You can wander upstairs and check out people's flats, check out the kindergarten, browse, do some window shopping. And underground all this is actually a brilliant museum which tells the story of Aarhus and Denmark in particular. Yeah, it's a great museum. I told you, we'll just keep mentioning museums. Let's see, there's also a poster museum here as well, which is really interesting. Okay, let's fly out of the city centre now and head to the Mosgard Museum. Opened in 2014. This museum is a modern temple to all things anthropological. The exterior has a modern and curious design and a bit like a launch pad emerging from a gentle grass slope. Inside, galleries are meticulously themed with plenty of moody lighting, soundscapes, interactive exhibits, touchscreens, and virtual reality. So let's have a quick look. Here we go. Here I am, clearly loving it. I was staring at a poster or something, I don't know. But yeah, as you can see, it's a really interactive museum and just tells the story of humans basically all over the world. It's fabulous. Okay, one more thing, let's head back into the city centre. And if you're hungry, but you don't want any particular formalities, you can head to Aarhus Street Food, where a great selection of dishes representing a wide range of cuisines can be found. It's housed in a former bus garage, and it attracts residents and tourists of all ages. People! I'm sure it's not quite looking like this at the moment, but hopefully one day it will return to this because it's a really good, fun vibe. And you can get food, as I said, from all over the world. This was a Nepalese curry that we really enjoyed, all washed down, of course, with some local beer. So there's a couple of very brief mentions. The public library is brand new. It's open almost round the clock. So if you go in the evening, you'll have the whole place to yourself. They have a games room, so if you're into your games, you can borrow and play on games consoles. They have record players. You can just pull vinyl off the shelves and play vinyl. And just the style of the place is enjoyable in itself. It's a really nice place. And this is the headline act of the Aros Art Museum. It's a 360-degree viewing platform, which gives you views, obviously, of the city. And the glass is, as you can see, coloured, and it goes through the full spectrum of the colour range. Really interesting, really good fun. Good place to pick up some Instagram photos. Okay, next destination. Yikes. We're heading out of Europe, and we're heading to Africa, and in particular, we're heading to Morocco. We're going to ignore Marrakesh and Fez, and instead we're going to head to the 6th largest city by population, Meknes. It started in the 11th century as a military settlement, and it became the capital of Morocco under the siege of the Sultan Moulay Ismail. This is ideal for individuals and couples looking for grittier, for want of a better word, more authentic travel experience. You can get there via Fez with flights from Gatwick and Stansted. Upon arrival at Fez, you can just hop in a taxi, all the rates are fixed, and they'll take you straight to your accommodation, which is in Morocco a highlight. Riads. You may have heard about riads. These are traditional houses converted into hotels where the hospitality is second to none, and the accommodation is always impeccable, high quality. This is the courtyard of our riad. This is where we came to eat breakfast. And here's just some scenes of Meknes. Meknes is not a tourist city. It's just an ordinary city. So that means it's a great place for you to get a real flavour of what life in modern day Morocco is like. That said, you can though hop on a horse and carriage and have a little tour of the city if you wish. The architecture in Morocco is just incredible, as I'm sure you can imagine. And the market is always a good place to go to get a flavour of local life, particularly good if you're looking to buy a new tagine. And here's just a few more photos from our accommodation. As you can see, it's really beautiful. A lot of riads in Morocco have rooftop terraces. This rooftop terrace in particular was really good. There was actually a pool up here, and again, great views of the city, and a really nice place just to hang out in the sunshine. Meknes is a really good place to base yourself for exploring the rest of Morocco, particularly the local area, and particularly Moulay Idris, which is a town in northern Morocco spread over 2 hills at the base of Mount Zahoun. It's famous for being the site of the tomb of Idris I, the first major Islamic ruler of Morocco. Due to its status as a holy city and sanctuary, the town was off limits to non-Muslims until 1912, and non-Muslims were not able to stay overnight until 2005. Since 1995, the town has been on UNESCO's tentative list of World Heritage Sites. Don't know what they're stalling for, because as you can see from the photos, it is stunning. This photo was taken from the rooftop of our tour guide's house. So we arrived in Moulay Idris, and we pre-booked via an Airbnb experience a tour of the town by a local woman who was able to show us around. Again, this is not particularly a tourist town. So again, it's a fabulous place to get a real flavour of modern day Morocco. Here she is taking us up some rather colourful steps. Before we set out, she treated us to the ubiquitous mint tea with some cookies and some nougat. I mean, we think we're tea drinkers, but think again, Morocco, my gosh. So she took us to some really interesting places. This is where all the local carpenters are based. It was really interesting to see them work and create furniture. Here's a little scene of the marketplace. And this is a community oven. So locals can make their loaves and take them unbaked to the community oven, where the gentleman, who you can just about see in the archway there, will cook it up for them. And then they come back a bit later in the day to collect their bread. Really quite a privilege to see all this. Donkeys are everywhere. Unfortunately, they're used for manual work quite often in Morocco still. So they are all over the place. Yes. So when you're in Moulay Idris, we're going to move on from Moulay Idris, and there is a site of very particular interest. There are two ways to get there. You can take a small shuttle bus along the road here, or you can walk along this upper pathway here, which is what we did, where we were pretty much on our own. It felt like real travel. The only people we encountered were shepherds. And at the end of the road is Conservation du site archéologique de Volubilis, which is a partly excavated 3rd century BC Berber city. It grew rapidly under Roman rule from the 1st century AD onwards and expanded to cover about 100 acres with a 1.6 mile circuit of walls. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and I think you can probably see why. The ruins are in quite decent nick, yeah, really these are original Roman mosaics. The entrance price here is really very small, and yeah, you can basically wander about wherever you like, sometimes to extremes. There are people there that will blow a whistle. So if you're a grown-up and you do this, then they'll blow a whistle at you, but the kids seem to have free reign. But yeah, really wonderful sight. Yeah. Okay, next country. We're heading to the Med, back to Europe and Italy. And we're heading right up here to the northern border, to the shores of George Clooney's Lake Como, and to the village of Argenio. Located about 50 kilometers north of Milan, population of 650. This is an ideal destination for everybody, particularly those looking to swan about between beautiful villages and towns, eating pizza and ice cream and gawping at the views. You can get there via Heathrow, Gatwick, Stansted and Luton. The flights will take you to Milan, and then you can just take a train up to Como. And this is what will be waiting for you upon arrival. Now this is, Lake Como, it's a very busy lake. It's a very touristy lake, but Argenio is not particularly one of them. Well, it's one of the less busier towns. By day, you will see a few tourists come in, but they don't stay in Argenio, they all leave. So by late afternoon onwards, you can have the whole place to yourself. And it's really pretty. There's also a great ice cream or gelato shop where they will stuff it into a freshly baked brioche for you. This is where we came to have breakfast, right on the shore of the lake. And this is not a museum. This is where we stayed. This was our Airbnb. It was 50 euros a night. It was enormous. There were hand-painted frescoes on the walls and the ceilings. There I am working at the dining table. I don't have time to show you the rest of it, but yeah, if you want the link, let me know, because it was easily the best place we've ever stayed in. So Argenio's really good, obviously, for getting a real authentic flavour of Italy. And is also home to the base station of a cable car, which will take you up to 881 meters to the village of Pigra, which has a population of 294. The cable car gondolas are tiny. Yeah, that's Argenio right down there. And you just head up to Pigra just to soak in the village life. We didn't see a single other person while we were there. And the views were extraordinary. Let's head off. Just down the road from Argenio is Villa Carlotta, which is a mansion and botanical gardens, which was completed in 1745. You can get here by bus, or you can ask your Airbnb host to give you a lift. And yeah, it's very pretty. There are lots of villages across the lake that you can visit. Our favorite was Varenna. You can hop on one of the ferries. This is one of the sexier ferries. Occasionally a car ferry will pull up and you just have to stand there with all the cars. Yeah, some of them are pretty smart. This is the village of Varenna. There's a lovely laid back vibe. And you just go there just to explore the alleyways, enjoy the water, enjoy the scenery, and enjoy ice cream. One more excursion that you can do is that you can hop across the border to Switzerland, to the city of Lugano. It's a very easy journey, just take the train. This is what will be waiting for you on the other side of the border. This is Italian-speaking Switzerland. Like it. Can everyone else see that? Okay, cool. This is very interesting. So when we arrived in, where are we? Lugano. It was an exceedingly hot day, and we had grand plans to explore the tourist attractions, but it was just so hot. But we had come prepared. We knew that Lugano had a Lido, so we bought our swimming kit, and we headed after about an hour or two to the Lido. Looks like Italy's winning so far. This is what counts as a municipal pool in Switzerland. So as you can see, lovely Olympic-sized pool. Over on the left here, there are sunbathing lawns. There's diving boards if you're into your diving. And we basically spent the whole afternoon here, though not particularly here. Here, there's a beach as part of this municipal pool where you can go and swim directly in the lake. There's a bar right there where you can get drinks. Lovely spot, and well worth crossing an international frontier just for a swim. Okay, 2 more destinations. We're going to whistle through them. We're going to leave Italy behind and head for Czechia. And again, we're going to ignore the main event. In this case, it's Prague, and we're going to head for the second city of Brno. Brno was a wonderful surprise. Little did we know that when we booked a few nights in this fabulous little city, just how much fun we were going to have. Our flying visit very quickly turned into one of the travel highlights of our entire year. What we found to our complete surprise was a lively, progressive, youth-orientated city that was trying hard and succeeding to be a brilliant city break destination. So let me show you some photos. One big thing about Brno is public art. And this is one of the art pieces. Any guesses what this might be? Maybe we shouldn't guess. Yeah, this is a multi-million euro piece of art. As you might expect, it was a bit controversial. Actually, this is an astronomical clock. At midday, every day, you can pop your hands inside one of the slots, and a glass marble is released for some reason. And if you catch it, you keep it. There you go. Not more. What else can you say? This is the market square. Again, good place to orientate yourself. Here's me examining another piece of artwork, a big horse. You can kind of guess. There's a little hidden secret surprise. It's not what you're thinking. Well, not precisely anyway. You have to go and check it out for yourself. Christmas lights stay up all year round in Brno. The nightlife is quite studenty, though there are some posher, more upmarket bars. This is one that we visited. This is the bar that does not exist. That's what it's called. So what you're seeing presumably is CGI. Here's me enjoying a slide in one of the many museums and art galleries in Brno. And here's a pink tank sitting outside a church. That's Brno. One of the highlights, oh, sorry, I always forget this. This is the Cathedral of St. Peter and Paul. This is the square that we saw a photo of just a moment ago. One of the highlights of Brno is the Museum of Romany Culture. The Romani community have been much maligned throughout their entire existence, and particularly since their initial migration from India. Their story is told in compelling detail at the Museum of Romani Culture, which is a short walk from the city centre. There are over 25,000 objects displayed creatively across several rooms. While most of the exhibition tells the full story of the Romani struggle, there are also displays celebrating Romani art and craftsmanship. They were delighted to see us. They don't get many foreign tourists, but as you can see, I mean, wow, it's such an impressive museum. And we learned so much about this community. This display in particular was some of the artwork created by members of the community. Okay, so that's Brno, our last destination. Okay, we're doing all right. We're heading back to the Med again. Well, actually, we're heading back to the Adriatic, and we're heading to Croatia. And once again, we're going to ignore Split. We don't want to have anything to do with Dubrovnik. We're going to head for Zadar. It's the oldest continuously inhabited Croatian city. The Times have called it the entertainment center of the Adriatic, and The Guardian have called it Croatia's new capital of cool. The fortified old city of Zadar is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. This is a destination suitable for all types of travellers, and you can get there from Gatwick, Luton and Heathrow. Much of your visit will take place in the Old Town, which is on this peninsula. You can get there via the pedestrian bridge. And once you're there, just wander around, enjoy the architecture, enjoy the atmosphere. There are plenty of churches and towers for you to look at. This is a very interesting square where they put lots of Roman ruins that you can just go and check out for free. The food in Zadar, as you can imagine, on the Adriatic, is wonderful. Zadar in particular is very famous for its sunsets. You can climb this tower and get a great view. We'll see a photo of the view in just a moment. This is a really cool bar that we visited. It's probably the coolest place we've ever been, actually. We felt quite out of place. But yeah, you can kind of lay out on the sun deck there, enjoy some cocktails. It's a vegan restaurant, so everything is vegan, lovely and fresh food. And this is the view from the tower that we saw just a moment ago. Everywhere you look, the sea is sparkling. It's just wonderful. Where are we? So since we're on the Adriatic, it would be a shame if we didn't get on the water. So there's 3 ways for you to do that. The first is you can cross onto the peninsula where the Old Town is located by rowing boat. It costs about 30p. So if you don't want to take the pedestrian bridge, you can ask this gentleman to row you across. Only takes a couple of minutes, but it's good fun. You can also try a bit of stand-up paddleboarding. Here's me mastering it after about 8 hours. Yeah, so it's well worth trying. And you can also, very highly recommend taking a sunset sailing. So here's our captain taking us out just before the sun sets. And yeah, the views are incredible. It's lovely and peaceful. They treat you to a bit of food, copious amounts of wine. It was a lovely time, a lovely day, a lovely way to spend our last day in Croatia. One more destination. It's just up the coast, and you can get there by car or by taxi or by bus. And it's the town of Nin, which is situated in a lagoon on an islet. And it's a really pretty little town. There are signs all over the town kind of telling you about what the building is and its history. It's just a great place just to hang out, get a drink, sit on the square and soak in the atmosphere. Enjoy an ice cream, of course. There are museums. This one was very interesting. They were literally restoring a boat that they'd hauled out of the Adriatic. There's people there literally restoring pieces of it and putting the boat back together right in front of us. It's very interesting. there are beaches. You can go out and go for a paddle. And there's this castle, which has kind of been abandoned. There's no entry. There's no staff there. It's really quite tricky to get to. You have to clamber over the rocks to get there. But once you get there, you have the whole place to yourself, and you can clamber about. Really interesting. I think we've made it. So there's 6 ideas for you, you can find out more about all of these destinations on my website, heretotravel.com. It's a plug now. If you want a link, just ask me. If you've got any questions, you can Slack me, that's sort of like an endless offer, by the way. If you have any travel questions, you can always ask me whenever you like. And there are loads more destinations for you to find out about on the website as well. We focus particularly on less explored destinations. So if you want to find out about somewhere new, you know where to go. Thanks very much. That's it.
Matt, that was really amazing. Thank you so very much for giving your time, your experience, and great delivery to show us some less explored places. It's been great.
Yeah, sorry, what was the website? I missed that, sorry.
Yeah, I'll chuck it in the...
Thank you. Sorry for interrupting, Mark.
Oh, no.
Well, thank you, Matt, for that. That was very, very interesting.
Sorry, it was
travel.
Actually, it's not clickable. Sorry, it was so rushed.
Heretotravel.com.
Yeah.
Oh, good URL. Excellent.
Yeah. It was called originally called heretogeneva.com, but we had so much traffic because that was when I set it up. I was going to Geneva, but we had so much traffic from people looking for information on Geneva, and we didn't have any. So
I was particularly impressed as I've been to quite a few kind of countries that you mentioned, just not to the places that you'd, apart from the one, I think I've just not been where you'd been. And like Morocco, I've, lucky to have had a really great traveling holiday in Morocco, where I went to lots of the cities, but clearly I went to the mainline cities because I think the most offbeaten place I might have gone to was a place called Salé. Which was amazing. But to hear about these other places makes me want to go back, and the same for the other places. And I'm sure it's got lots of inspiration going for everybody as they're looking around their rooms that they've been staring at for 9 months.
Good. I mean, that was the idea, just to give a bit of escapism and get people thinking about the future when we have a bit more freedom.
Well, you might need to be carving out some time in your working hours, Matt, for all of the queries you're going to get, because I have a feeling you're going to get a few emails.
No problem.
Thank you so much again, and well done. That was really, really great.
You're welcome.